Friends, welcome to the next class of economics. Today we are discussing about the human capital formation in India. And in this chapter, one topic, Right to Education Act was left. The right to education is the fundamental right of every citizen of the country, and it is the responsibility of the state, or the we can say of the government, to provide the free education to the age group from 6 to 14 years. So it is a law, it is an act passed in 2002 in through the Article 21A in the Constitution of India, where there is provision of free and compulsory education of all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years as a fundamental right in such a manner as the state may by law determine. So we can say it in other words. Now I'll discuss this topic with you in detail. This topic is explaining the right of children to free and compulsory education, RTE Act 2009. So from 2009 it converted into Right to Education Act, which represents the consequential legislation in envisaged under Article 21A, means that every child has a right to full time elementary education of satisfactory and equitable quality in a formal school which satisfy certain essential norms and standards. So every school is bound to give admission to the children who are from the age of 6 till the age of 14 as per the RT Act. I hope you have seen the movie uh, Hindi medium, played by Irfan Khan. In that movie, we have seen कि they converted into a poor people. They started living as a poor because of the admission of their ward, their kid in a good reputed school through RTE. So RTE ensures the education of the kids of the children in any of the school, but everyone is responsible, even a very high fee like schools, to provide the compulsory or free education to all sections of the society. Like someone is very rich and someone is poor, so school cannot deny the people to give education. Like any school is located near to the slum, and the student of that slum, the kids of that slum want to go to that school, so the school cannot deny them to educate. At least there is some quota, there is some parameters through which they have to give admission to at least 10% poor students, and they cannot charge any type of fee, or they'll charge a very nominal fee for them under the RT Act. So I think you are getting that point. What is this right to education, which the act was passed in the year 2009, and from that year it is compulsory and it is free and it is the right of the children to get educated. So I am reading again this for you. The right of children to free and compulsory education, RT 2009 Act, which represent the consequential legislation envisaged under Article 21A, means that every child has a right to full-time elementary education of satisfactory and equitable quality in formal schools which satisfies certain essential norms and standards. So Article 21A and RT Act came into effect on April 1, 2010. So from when it has started, it was started from the year April 1, year 2010, from 1st April. The enrollment, when we go for the enrollment in our schools, 1st April we are taking the admissions. The title of the RT Act incorporates the words free and compulsory. Free and compulsory education. So they will get the free and compulsory education. If any child is not getting education, it is the responsibility of the states or the government to provide them free and compulsory education. So free education means that no child other than a child who have been admitted by his or her parents to a school which is not supported by the appropriate government shall be liable to pay any kind of fee or charges or expenses which may prevent him or her from pursuing and completing elementary education. So any school cannot deny to give the education to your child from getting free education or the education in simple word. Like any family, like any person has taken the any student taken the admission in our school, but his income is less. Now earlier he has taken the admission, his Harvard got the admission, but lately they are not able to pay the fee. So a school cannot throw them out. Like school have to put them in the institution, but school can charge a nominal or low fees for from those or such parents till primary classes or elementary classes. So I'm repeating again, free education means that no child other than a child who has been admitted by his or her parents to a school which is not supported by the appropriate government shall be liable to pay any kind of fee or charges or expenses which may prevent him or her from pursuing and completing elementary education. कोई भी स्कूल बच्चे को स्कूल से आने से रोक नहीं सकता, ना एजुकेशन देने से मना कर सकता है प्राइमरी और एलिमेंट्री लेवल तक, चाहे उसके मदर और फादर जो पेरेंट्स है वो फ़ी चाहे नहीं पे कर पाए, फिर भी वो डिनाई नहीं कर सकता है स्कूल उन्हें. So the compulsory education casts an obligation on the appropriate government and local authorities to provide and ensure admission, attendance and completion of elementary education by all children in the age 6 to 14 age group. With this, India has moved forward to a rights-based framework that casts a legal obligation on the central and state governments to implement this fundamental child right as it was enshrined in Article 21A of the Constitution in accordance with the provisions of the RTE Act. So there are two laws, we can say there are two acts. One is RTE Act and another is Article 21A. What is Article 21A? Article 21A ensures free and compulsory education of all the children age group 6 to 14 years. This is the fundamental right of the kids or children. Fundamental rights we are aware of in our constitution from 15 till 32 our fundamental rights are given. Okay, and what is added in this? RTE is added in 2009. So what is RTE? The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009. They both incorporated, they both combined, and now they are more foolproof, we can say, for free and compulsory education of the children for their elementary level education. So now student, as I told you earlier, today we'll start the next chapter of our book. The next chapter is rural development. So what we'll study in this rural development chapter, we are trying to understand the Indian economic development. Okay, so we have crossed the topic human capital formation. Earlier we have discussed poverty chapter, and now we are going to discuss about the rural development in our country. Okay, so first we'll discuss the very first heading is challenges or key issues of rural development. What are the problems and what are the challenges among us in the field of the rural areas. The second one topic is rural credit, like simple meaning how the peoples who are living in the rural areas are getting loans. Credit means money lending, they are lending money. Now the subheadings are classification of rural credit needs, कि किस किस नीड्स की वजह से वो पैसे को क्या दे आर बोरोइंग मनी. सोर्स ऑफ रूरल क्रेडिट, कौन कौन से सोर्सेज है जहाँ से लोगों को पैसे मिलते हैं रूरल एरियाज़ में. और रूरल बैंकिंग का क्रिटिकल अप्रेजल, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, एंड दिस वाज इन द 2019-20 session board examination. This question was there in board exam. And what the majority of students did mistake in this question, they didn't do the critical appraisal. They all have written the facilities provided by the rural banking, but the question is you should also mind a critical appraisal. What are still lacking the rural area in field of the credit? Then after we'll discuss about the agricultural marketing system in the rural areas, what is required, how we can improve it. The first subheading is measures initiated by the government to improve agricultural marketing system after the independence. What government did to facilitate farmers and to improve or to encourage the people. So these areas can also develop. And problems, defects of agricultural marketing in India, that points highlighted by the author in the book. The suggestions to improve agriculture marketing system is also a point. Then alternative marketing channels. What are other channels where farmers can sell their products? Will discuss this topic also. Diversification in agriculture. We are aware of this topic. Diversification of agriculture means the crop production. Specifically, we'll discuss first this. Then after diversification of production activity or employment, we'll discuss this. After that, a very important topic is there: sustainable development and organic farming. So I think the organic farming topic deleted this time. I'll tell you in the next video, and we'll discuss about the challenges of organic farming and sustainable. So we'll discuss the topic sustainable development in our next part, as we will cover this chapter. And organic farming is no more, I think, is not coming this in this term examination, and I'll explain you this point in the next session of the class. So I hope so, students. I'll send you the notes of the previous chapter we have completed, and till then start reading this chapter, and I'll continue this chapter. Your chapter is rural development, and I'll continue in the next video, next session. Okay, see you.